Of them two or not, or just did what he did because he needed to vent and pretend he was holding one of his rallies. The president's remarks today served as a distraction from what his own task force members were saying about the pandemic, from what state governors in red states were acknowledging. They even distracted from some hopeful news being reported about treatments and vaccines. None of what the president said today focused on that at all, to the extent it focused on anything at all, which is why it's so important to pay extra attention, we think, to what is actually happening in the fight that we are all in right now. So with that in mind, we're grateful to spend a few moments with Dr. Quinn Snyder, who practices emergency medicine in Mesa, Arizona right now. Dr. Snyder, I appreciate you being with us. Paint us a picture of what things look like where you are for you and the people you're working with and treating.
You know, it's really unfortunate. Arizona is in a state of crisis right now as we speak. We're watching our healthcare system overflow. We're starting to see some very unusual behaviors, such as transferring patients all throughout the state and even to some of the our neighboring states. We're needing to send them to places like Las Vegas, San Diego, Albuquerque, and southern Utah. We're starting to house patients internally in unusual locations as well. We're putting adult patients in pediatric hospitals, which is very unusual. We're also starting to see providers act outside of their scope of practice. There's also a significant shortage of healthcare workers in this state. Disaster teams have landed in this state to help with the COVID fight. We're needing a significant number of travelers from other locations coming in, helping out with nursing and respiratory therapy, and we are very grateful that they've come to help us. And perhaps most disturbingly, we just had some requests for refrigerated trucks to come into our state to house dead bodies because our morgues are beginning to run out of space. And unfortunately, right now, we find ourselves with our backs up against the wall, and we could end up in a position where we're going to have to start making decisions like who gets a ventilator and who doesn't.
You know, I mean, so much of what you're saying is it is horrific. It also just reminds me so much of the conversations I had with doctors, back in April in New York, where I live and where I'm from. Exactly all of those things. And I remember even doctors in Italy talking about those difficult choices that they may have to make about who would be able to get a ventilator and who wouldn't, and how do you make those choices in the most ethical way possible?
I think we find ourselves in a very
to be in that
place.
position in Arizona is crazy.
Well, to be in that position so many months later from what had happened in New York and New Jersey, as well as Italy, and to not have learned those lessons is frankly inexcusable. And some of your viewers in New York and New Jersey might be surprised to hear that, here in Arizona, we still don't have a statewide mask mandate. And furthermore, I can go walk down the street and go have a sit-down meal inside a restaurant right now. And we are at a very critical juncture in the pandemic. And we need significantly more regulation, I think. And frankly, it should have been done a long time ago. It's very challenging to be in this position and doing my best to try to take care of my community. And I know that all the people I work with are doing their best to take care of some of the sickest patients we've ever seen. And that contrast going out and driving around and seeing people at restaurants is really heartbreaking to us. And frankly, in some ways, it feels insulting. It's probably never been a more difficult time to be a healthcare worker than right now.